Wow, I sure do love the Secret Base arc because of how fleshed out and entertaining it was. Way too much serious. It's just bad, too early for a series that I thought was supposed to be story-driven. Egg-chan needs to get a better assistant. Spokus here's Secret Base arc is one of the most disliked arcs in all of Unstable, a scripted Minecraft series. I'll be making the case for it being a good arc while analyzing it. It's important to mention here that Spoke's Mafia arc had a pretty serious tone, for a Minecraft video anyway, which is why Spoke's 100 Days arc was quite abrupt in its change of tone. It features classic Kevin MacLeod YouTube music and a lot of trolling, contributing to its unserious appearance. But, as I'll soon explain, there was a lot of character building and symbolism for Spoke in this episode, as many people in the survey seem to recognize. I should note here that earlier I over-exaggerated the negative opinions towards the arc, but most of the negative opinion was towards the editing and format. But while it may not be to everyone's tastes, I believe that the 100 Days presentation elevates the story here, and I will soon explain why. But first, I want to talk about details I like about these episodes. The first episode takes place in Ashwag's space right after the end of the Invisible Mafia arc. The Invisible Mafia was a group that Ashwag led, and a big finale-level threat in Season 1 of Unstable. After the Invisible Mafia lost its hold over the server due to Spoke and the other protagonists' contributions, Ashwag leaves to a secret base followed by Spoke, which is where this episode begins. Spoke's goal here is to find stuff to steal by exploring this base. While doing this, Spoke needed to quickly riptide from a button to a door using his water bucket with George Jr., his pet fish, and the most important character on the Unstable SMP. After repeatedly lying, he eventually kills George Jr., and soon after finds that the room he was trying to get into had nothing in it. I find this interesting due to the previous symbolism I found with Spoke treating George Jr. as he often treats his friends, as a means for an end, along with the fact that tridents are often used by invisible players, except in the Mafia. Think about Wembu during his Invisible arc, the currently unknown invisible player in Wembu's videos, and Spoke himself. I have more thoughts on this that I may discuss in a future video about Wembu's arc, so comment below if you want to watch that. In this episode, Spoke uses a lot of invisibility. I don't remember where, but one fan animation depicted invisibility as a smoked chemical. This makes perfect sense to me for his character. And if it was, this is the arc where he would get addicted, because he has to constantly be invisible. At one point, he tries to make a room where he doesn't need to have invisibility on, but finds out that it doesn't work. This may appear as him trying a silly exploit for convenience, but remember, Unstable is scripted. They left this in the video for a reason, and it's because it emphasizes how in order to do this mission, Spoke needs to be invisible at all times. Spoke makes a lot of mistakes in this video. His invisibility ran out multiple times, he caused a villager, which is extremely valuable on Unstable, to drown, and he had to burn much of what he got from Ash because his hoppers led right back to his stash. These mistakes are expected. After all, he's not the biggest bird, not even close, and it's his first time doing something like this. But as he continues through the arc, he gets better. At this point, you may be wondering what in the world this has to do with the 100 Days format. Spoke doesn't have to do any of this. He's clearly sacrificing his time, sanity, and even his pet fish for this cause, but he doesn't get a lot out. When he doesn't take it seriously, or at least presents it that way, it wouldn't present itself as much of a failure. Spoke's character is a master manipulator and an unreliable narrator. He wants to portray himself as the most morally good and capable individual that he can. His character seems to eventually give up on the morally good part, but here, he wants to portray himself that way. If this video was a serious one, he appears as an incompetent fool, but instead, he gets to portray others as stupid for missing him right under their noses, while his failures are just because he isn't taking this seriously. Tyzip from the Unstable Analysis Discord brought up a great quote from Jamato.
Oh, even then, every day you have had a chance to walk away. No one is holding you back, except yourself, your ego, your massive ego.
No.
Anyways, in the next episode, Spoke doesn't walk away and continue his quest to find loot, and he infiltrates Radoon's and Jarens' base next. Spoke says he's doing this whole thing for loot, but Mapik directly says in this episode that if he's here for stuff, then Mapik's willing to give Spoke stuff. As a response, Spoke says he's doing this whole thing for revenge for some pets that never existed, when in reality, he's pursuing the dragon egg and the other countless riches only available in a base like Radoon's. This further emphasizes my ideas about George Jr., his existent pet, being an allegory for Spoke's friends. He's using these non-existent pets as an excuse to do whatever he wants. Despite his supposed love for pets, Spoke kills Charon's snowy fox. He manages to replace the fox by calling upon Planet Lord, one of his friends. And while trying to approach Planet, Spoke is talking to himself, wondering how to open the conversation.
Just want to stop by.
I can hear you. Hey, bro.
Hey, can I just...
After spending hundreds of days in people's spaces invisible, Spoke is failing at basic social skills in literally talking to his friend. This is pretty sad. He's so used to being unseen at this point that he's alienated himself from his friends in the pursuit of riches. Later in the episode, Mapik and Planet join Spoke in the secret base to allow for some much needed human interaction for Spoke. At one point, Planet finds Spoke's stash of George Jr.'s. Mapik is the only person who has seen most of Spoke's journey on Unstable. He's the only person who can effectively say understands Spoke. When Spoke has questioned his morals in the past, like the Mafia arc after killing Rose, Mapik was there to assure him that he is a good person. Interestingly, Planet and Leo were also there. Planet didn't really end up mattering. He is a friend, but he isn't as present as Mapik is. But considering what we know about Leo and Spoke's history, Leo's presence is intriguing. Nonetheless, Mapik also assured Spoke of his morality during the early Bat arc, which is key, because Mapik mostly knew the truth here, but right now, Mapik is deceived on Spoke's true motivations. Eventually, Spoke finds the Dragon Egg Room on the very last day. Radoon's is there, and Spoke tries to steal the egg, but when Radoon's asks him why he's in his base at all, Spoke claims that it's because Red killed Spoke's pets, the same lie he told Mapik. Obviously, Red is confused. The two haven't really interacted up until this point, but Spoke tries to play it off.
Dude, you guys are saying that I, killed his pets?
Dude, you did all these horrible things, bro, and for what, bro?
When did this happen?
bro?
When did this happen?
Okay, obviously he's lying right
Yeah.
now. Obviously he wouldn't like come clean about that type of stuff. But look, Red, look.
Spoke is really just not a good person here. He's lying to his friends, lying to make an excuse for stealing from people, sabotaging things, and much more. But in the next episode, Spoke infiltrates another one of Red and Charon's bases. He does this because he followed Radoon's around for a while. Stalking someone in Minecraft for several hours is not behavior a well-adjusted individual would display. Spoke truly has almost a breakdown in this episode. The events in this episode truly mirror his mental development. This one also feels less silly to me compared to the other ones. This episode features Spoke trying to grab items from Red and Charon's trade deals and farms. To start with the trade deals, Spoke tries using his fishing rod at one point to grab items. This is proven to be ineffective. I find this interesting because I viewed a fishing rod as a symbol of manipulation from Spoke. In recent episodes with Sam and Mapik, he often has a habit of aiming the fishing rod at them and pulling it. Spoke is a good manipulator as proven several times throughout the series. But this episode showed that these skills are not directly useful for gaining material wealth, until he makes an evil army, of course. He also used stasis chambers to trap and kill some bandits, which reminded me of a certain mafia leader. Spoke justifies this to himself by saying that they were bad people, but that's how his decline always seems to start. He's only doing it because they're bad people. He even justified Rose's death by saying that she must somehow be a bad person at first. Unfortunately, a lot of the farms are just not that valuable. Melon, sugarcane, chorus fruit, it's all mid, worthless, honestly. Spoke recognizes this towards the end of the episode. He spent the whole episode rigging the base for worthless goods. He was almost forced to confront why he was doing any of this in the first place. But then, he found a raid farm. This is incredibly rare and valuable on the server. Not to mention, there was a villager inside, which as I mentioned earlier is also incredibly rare on the server due to the mob cap. Unfortunately, right outside were some raiders, friends of the bandits he killed earlier who wanted to avenge their friend. After a fun sequence of events, the whole base blows up and Spoke is back to having nothing here. Spoke clearly notices how absurd he is acting until he is distracted by finding the raid farm. The purpose of the secret base format feels like a futile attempt at justifying any of what Spoke is doing in this video. It covers it in spectacle to hide the pointlessness of the whole endeavor. Now I want to talk about my favorite Unstable episode, Spoke's secret base episode with Bat. I've watched this episode in its entirety about 8 times at this point, and not on 2 times speed. Spoke spends most of this episode in this space against his will, which is different than the other ones where he was there to steal things from people. He does still get up to mischief here, but it is interesting to note this. This episode is easily the least serious of the secret base arc, which is really saying something considering the tone of the arc. He's also just kinda mean for no reason, like he dangles people's pets over the void and kills them, both on purpose and on accident, which follows his previous excuse of infiltrating Red and Jaren due to them killing his non-existent pets, a clear example of his hypocrisy. This is interesting considering Spoke's ego, which is brought up earlier. Another interesting point is his repeated insistence on his future army. I recently covered this in a YouTube short, but Spoke repeatedly refers to an army. He specifically says that once I know your name, you have to join my army, which I found interesting considering the jumbled up names of Null. Now, the very next episode is indeed Spoke having his galactic empire, but that wouldn't explain his insistence on knowing people's names. This one was also a lot less unfiltered than the other episodes. It features things like Spoke coughing, which yes, I am indeed claiming that Spoke coughing in his video is plot relevant, but hear me out. Usually, Unstable videos do not leave in details like that. Along with the cough, it shows Spoke saying some interesting stuff.
Day 68 is a prime example of why I do voiceovers nowadays. Oh, crash out in the VC.
Falling into quote-unquote trances that take the will of the director to break out of. Worse editing, even showing his desktop screen at one point, which has a Wormhole 2 picture in the corner. And this all clearly shows that Spoke is not really the most mentally stable of individuals at this point. He even directly says that over 500 days of base camping was not healthy for him. So, the point of all this is that Spoke is trapped in this base, basically going insane, but he still manages to portray himself as not a complete and total loser, at least partially.
I am the director!
No, you're not!
I am!
You're clearly not, bro.
I am.
Why would the director, like...
I am. Please say
Dude,
I am.
what is wrong with this guy, bro? Like, actually.
This is interesting considering Spoke's ego, which was brought up earlier. Despite being incredibly pathetic here, Spoke manages to, with the power of editing and perspective, portray himself as a capable individual, even portraying Bat as losers for things like letting their pets die and not seeing him when he's right in front of them. Which brings up my next idea here, that Spoke is loving the invisibility. He's clearly just having so much fun. He may claim to hate the invisible mafia, but he could be the most enthusiastic member of it. Spoke started this arc by tormenting a pretty bad guy, literally the big bad villain of season 1. But we've ended by concluding the arc by having Spoke be a hypocritical mess of a human being. Part of this is the alienation he imposed on himself by spending hundreds of days invisible in people's faces, not including the time he spent stalking people and trying to find more secret bases. This all points to a clear moral decline in Spoke. Spoke started off as a morally gray character in season 1, but ultimately a good guy due to saving the whole server from the mafia despite how hopeless the situation was at times. He's vengeful, but ultimately had good intentions. This changes in this arc. I think this arc ultimately had some absurdist themes. Spoke is clearly unable to find meaning or fulfillment in any of what he's doing, and when he does in the form of riches, it usually doesn't end up working out very well or satisfy him for very long. Ashwag summed it up best at the end of his secret base episode.
Whatever place he has in it, even if it's in his ender chest, I'll get it out of there somehow. All right, it doesn't matter. I feel like you're underestimating here.
All right, Spoke. You will never find yourself. You will never truly be happy.
Okay.
Go find that for treasure. Good luck.
Okay.
Before you can even find yourself, find the exit, bro. It's through the lava.
I think the brain rot format really helps to contribute to Spoke's character because it shows that he doesn't take any of what he's doing seriously, doesn't care about how what he does affects people, and is trying to find meaning in all of what he's doing.
It's also just very entertaining. I've noticed a trend recently in Unstable videos that I don't really like. There's a lot more spoon-fed characterization and hints. An example is Deputy Ace betraying Lettuce. This was so obvious for so long. And I also don't like how Spoke is constantly talking to himself and explaining every single move he's gonna make in the last episode of his Bat arc. I found it pretty annoying, and I blame this on the bad reception of videos like the Secret Base arc, which have a lot of subtle meaning, and I think they're trying to target their younger audience by doing that, which is fair enough because that's probably a grand majority of their audience. Thank you so much for watching the whole video. It was a long one for me. I probably will not be making many more videos unless I get a great idea, something crazy happens, or people really like this one. Though, if you guys have thoughts and feelings you want to share, please do in the comments. I like hearing what you guys think.